Today, on Be Something Wonderful, I finally get what it means to be in a state of wish fulfilled. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Big video this morning. I want to talk about this new client that now I've already had 3 sessions with. And we've made some big movement, but his centered around this idea of the state of wish fulfilled. Because he felt like he doesn't know when he's in it or when he's out of it. Sometimes he's feeling confident, this is in his words, and that he's in fulfillment, and that his SP, this is about a specific person, that she'll call or reach out or they'll get together. And then other mornings where it feels impossible. Right? That nothing feels like it's moving, that he's not in fulfillment. So I want to hit this idea again, because remember, what is a state of wish fulfilled? The feeling is a conviction that you are already that person you want to be, that you already have that what you want, that you're already in that it's already yours. It's not a temporary, fleeting condition or feeling, thought and feeling of feeling good or feeling fulfillment. Those are temporary, and those can be jolted, those can be rocked, those can be shaken, right? Those states where you have a state where you're really believing it. Then you wake up the next morning, then you're having some doubts. All of those states are temporary thoughts and feelings and temporary conditions in 3D linear time, in that horizontal experience. We're talking about going to the assumption and the conviction that it's done and staying there, no matter what you're thinking and how you're feeling. No matter what the conditions outside are or the conditions within. The temporary conditions out there in 3D, and they're not out there, they're within you anyway. And the temporary conditions are the thoughts and feelings within. All of those are within you, but they're all temporary. But what's real, what's permanent, that I am, that conviction that I am who I say I am that I am. That's what we talked about. And he had some big movements. And in the last session, he said after several weeks of this girl not really doing anything, not making any effort, out of the blue, got some Red Sox tickets for them. She knows that he likes the Red Sox. And apparently it's the end of this month or the beginning of June. They've got tickets for Fenway Park. And how cool is that, though? She reached out. This is something that he's interested in, that she knows this, and reached out and initiated that. So this is him now getting in the absolute conviction that no matter how he feels, no matter how he wakes up, no matter what happens out there in 3D reality, right? Or no matter what he's thinking and feeling temporarily, those temporary thoughts and feelings, that he's in the absolute conviction, absolute state of knowing it's done and returning to that. That's big. So let's hit it. Neville Goddard says this: realization of your wish is accomplished by assuming the feeling of wish fulfilled. So the question is always, what is that feeling? That feeling is an inner conviction. It is I am that I am. I am who I say I am. I am in that whatever I'm assuming, whatever I'm believing, however I want to condition that unconditioned awareness that I am, right? And this is what he says: you cannot feel unless you feel to convince yourself the reality of your wish. Here it is. You cannot feel the realization of your wish unless you feel to convince yourself the reality of your wish. In other words, unless you don't have that conviction, right? That conviction is everything. It's not outer confidence. It's not your changing thoughts. It's not your changing feelings. How could those be reality if they're changing? I am is the only reality, because that doesn't change. I am is forevermore. It's now, it was, it will be, and always. Unconditioned you, right? I am. And what you put after that is up to you. That's your choice. But it's not outer confidence. It's not changing thoughts. It's not changing feelings. It's I am that I am. It's beyond convincing. It is conviction. It's beyond convincing. It is conviction. That's the feeling, that feeling of conviction. So very powerful here. And remember that subscriber, Mary, who I talked about in the previous video, big video, huge insights. Well, she wrote me again, and I'm going to cover this on our live stream, our 4th live stream, which is later this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Coast Standard Time, right here, live in Las Vegas with me, live 4, where we're going to talk about your questions, and I'm going to, a lot of those questions get answered with some additional insights that Mary had, and she sent me another email. Remember, Mary's not a real name, but Mary. So I'm going to cover that this morning along with some other things. Remember, she said there's only one story, fulfillment. This is what we talk about all the time. I am is the only story, the story of fulfillment. It's the greatest story ever told. The story of fulfillment, your story of who you really are is the greatest story ever told. This is what Jesus says, before Abraham was, comma, I am. But in other words, it doesn't matter where the comma is or was. It's just before Abraham, I am. Before Abraham, before linear time, before the horizontal experience, before everything, I am. So I am continues, and it's always been there. Fulfillment is the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's one story, right? It's one story. It's all God. But remember, God gave you free will, right? God created you in its image, in his image, right? God created you in its image, and so you have free will to choose how you want to experience the middle. Do you see it? Fulfillment's the beginning, fulfillment's the end, and fulfillment's the middle. But God gave you free will to choose how you experience the middle. You don't choose the beginning, and you don't choose the end. That's all God. That's all you as God, that I am. But you get to choose how you experience the middle, right? God is indifferent. God, it's all God, including the middle. But God gave you the free will to choose how to experience that middle. And that middle is divine, but it can get messy when depending on what you choose or depending on how you look at it, right? God is indifferent to how you choose to experience the middle. Your isness as I am is never in doubt. Your isness as I am is never in doubt. So you can either start creating in that middle and feeling doubt and fear, looking at conditions, looking at analyzing your thoughts and feelings, identifying with them, and having what you would call an unwanted or undesirable experience. You have free will to choose. But whatever you experience, it's not reality. It's an experience of reality. Whatever you're thinking or feeling is not reality. Thoughts and feelings about reality. The only reality is I am. It's the beginning, it's the middle, and it's the end. But you get to choose how you're going to experience it, that middle. So let's hit this. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and last, the beginning and the end. Revelations 22:13. This was clear, right? All desire is the desire to know yourself experientially as the all. Right? It's just God, beginning and end, first and last, Alpha and Omega, but you get to decide how you're going to experience that middle. Right? All desire is the desire to know yourself experientially as the all that I am. That beginning is I am, that end is I am, the middle is that. I am that I am. The question is, the middle is the experience. What are you choosing? What are you experiencing? Source is indifferent to how you experience that. Source is all of it. But and God said clearly, I'm the beginning, the end, the first and last, the Alpha and Omega. You get to choose the middle. That's where your free will. God's all of it. God's the middle too. But you get to choose how you experience the middle. The ends I am, the beginnings I am, but you get to choose the middle. Who do you say I am? This was the question that Jesus asked his disciples, right? And then Peter answers, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. So Peter comes with the answer. That is the answer. No matter what you experience, the end is a sure thing. In him, right, we live, we move, and have our being. We exist in him. In that I am, we exist. You determine how you're going to, what your experience of that beingness is. No matter what you experience, the end is a sure thing. The beginning and the end are sure things, right? And the middle. but the middle is your choice, right? So let's hit this again. So like Mary was saying in that email, it's all fulfillment. It's already there. How you look at that fulfillment, how you experience, how you see that fulfillment. Remember, fulfillment is. Non-fulfillment is a choice. Fulfillment is, it's yours no matter what. Whether you choose it or not, fulfillment's there. Fulfillment's the beginning, fulfillment's the end, fulfillment's the middle. But God gives you the choice how you want to experience that fulfillment. And so you have to deliberately choose non-fulfillment because it's just fulfillment in the middle. But God gives you the free will to choose non-fulfillment, to choose an experience of non-fulfillment. It doesn't exist, but you can create it. You can have that experience, right? Remember what Scripture says, faith is feeling or living in the consciousness of being the thing desired. Faith is your I am. In other words, I am is feeling or living in the consciousness of being the thing desired. Thinking from and living in the end. I am that I am. That's what faith is. That's what I am is. I am is the feeling. I am is the conviction. Do you see it? That's the feeling of wish fulfilled. It's I am. That's the conviction of wish fulfilled. It's I am. That's what it really means to live from the end. Live in your I am. To live from and live in the end is I am that I am. Now faith, or I am, is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen from Hebrews. Faith is I am. Now I am, you could substitute, is the substance or the source of things hoped for or desired and the evidence or the conviction of things not seen. It's very clear, right? If you just substitute I am is the source or the I am substance of things desired or hoped for, and it's the evidence or the conviction of things not seen. It's everything. That's the conviction. Feeling of wish fulfilled equals the faith in and acceptance of the end. That's the feeling of wish fulfilled. It's your faith. It's your I am. The acceptance of I am that. Right? As source. That's the evidence. That's the conviction. That's your I am. That's your source. That's absolute conviction. I am that I am. That's clear here. It's not a temporary, fleeting emotion, even if it's elevated. Because even elevated emotions are temporary. They point more to source, gratitude, joy, excitement. Like Bashar says, follow your excitement. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about the elevated emotions. Yes, experiencing them points more to source for sure. And as you sit in your assumption of already being that person you want to be, resting in that fulfillment, of already being that person you want to be, of already having what you want to have, then for sure you're going to feel the translated in 3D, the translation of that is that 3D feelings of joy, elevated emotions of gratitude, elevated emotions of love. All of that you're going to feel. But remember, love is a state of being. Yes, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, but it's a state of being more than anything. It's I am. And you're going to feel that state of being in terms of elevated emotions when you're feeling, when you're resting in that conviction, when you're resting in that absolute I amness, that faith. Then sure you're going to feel those emotions, right? But those aren't required. The conviction's already there. The I am's already there. For sure you'll feel it. But when there's days that you're not feeling it, it doesn't matter. Your assumption's what matters. Your conviction is what matters. That I am done. It's done. It's mine. I am that I am. That never goes away, right? So the middle of changing thoughts and feelings and changing outer conditions is not reality. This is really what my client got. And look what happens. He gets invited to he loves baseball, loves Fenway Park, and now he's got tickets. Right, with the girl that he wants to, with the specific person, the girl that he wants to be with. And she got the tickets. This is what we're talking about. The middle is an idea or experience of reality. It's not reality. It's an experience, and you get to choose that experience. You have the free will to choose how you're going to experience the middle. God says, I'm the beginning and the end, the first and last, the Alpha and Omega. And the middle is mysterious because it depends on what you're assuming and believing. Your mix determines how that mystery is going to play out. Do you see it? How it's all going to play out. And so the middle is an idea experience, and the idea is an idea experience of reality. And the idea or concept that I am that I am, that I am that, of yourself, of I am, with which you identify your story, determines your entire life experience, but never changes who you really are. Hear this again. So big. The idea or concept, I am that. That represents the idea. That represents the concept of yourself. I am that I am represents who you're defining yourself to be, and with which you identify, which becomes your story. Remember, there's only one story, but in the middle, you get to decide your experience of that one story, that one fulfillment, what you identify with. That determines your entire life experience, but it never changes who you really are. You're God, you're divine, you're perfect, it's there. There are no changes, right? Your story is one of fulfillment. But how you tell and experience that story is your choice. That's your free will. I am that I am. In other words, I am those assumptions, I am that conviction. That's the powerful revelation that my client had. And later this morning, on our live stream at 9 a.m., I'm going to talk about some other big insights that Mary had, and we'll answer some other questions. I finally got what it means to be in a state of wish fulfilled. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for joining our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. More and more you are joining, where you can share insight and guidance with others and ask for insight and guidance. Thanks for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin. And thanks for joining our membership channel. There's a link below. If you want to join us this morning, if you're a member, join us for the live stream. If you're not, join us. It's going to be fun. It's going to always be powerful. It's going to run maybe somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, right? That's always around the time of the live stream. But in that will be a packed 15 and 20 minutes for sure. For all that information and more, go to our website at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com. Creators, with great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude, this is Tom with Be Something Wonderful. Yeah, we'll see you soon.